Hello, dear, and welcome to Child Development Analysis. We are going to go through quite a journey with you, and this first recording is going to be something quite general because I want to introduce you to what really child development analysis is, why we're doing it, how we're doing it, and what is the situation in the field of parenthood in the world right now. So these are the topics that we are going to discuss today. And of course, I want to start with what are we actually going to do in this child development reading? And it consists out of three parts. Today, it's going to be an introduction. So I will introduce you to the new paradigm of parenting and my role in it. How do we present the material and how we see childhood? You will be quite surprised to find out how today's understanding of what the child is different from what we knew from before. We will talk about your role as a mother, and of course, we're going to talk about big themes like types and auras and the mutual conditioning. And then we're going to have two big topics. We're going to talk about the physical development of your child and about psychological development of the child. So in physical development is going to be, first of all, the brain, how the brain functions, and the importance of understanding that feeding the brain is feeding the mind and feeding the mind and feeding the body. Yeah, we're going to talk about the diet, the sleep, the energy balance, of course, about what kind of physical activities are, let's put it this way, preferable for your child. And we will talk generally about how the body is constructed to meet this reality, what we see in the profile line on the design side. And then we're going to move to psychological development. And there we will see how the first 7 years are important in development and how they are sort of structured, yeah, in smaller cycles. And then we'll talk about the authority and how you teach, yeah, your child to live its authority without teaching them actual human design, yeah, because it's all comes from the environment. It all comes from the role modeling that he sees around and she sees around, and of course the way you behave. And I'm sure that it's going to be quite insightful journey for you. And then we'll spend quite a long time talking about borders and centers, because that is something that is crucial for understanding of how for you to keep yourself, yeah, centered, and how to let your child keep themselves centered and behave from their own truth and not from the ideas of what truth is and how to deal with that. And then we'll talk about the actual personality that your baby is going to develop in the years and how you can support them in this development. So how does it sound to you? Does it sound like quite a journey, isn't it? So let's start our journey with the question. The question that is may seem quite obvious, but when you look deeper, you may find that is not as obvious as it seems. The question is, why would you like to get a reading for your child? Yeah, there are very obvious answers. Yeah, I want to have the best for my child. I want them to fulfill their potential and so on. But can you find an answer which is uniquely yours? Why? What do you expect from this reading? Why you really want to get it? You know, just stop and think about it. Just think about it. Just like tune into this idea of, yeah, I have that incredible instrument that can explain the structure of my child to me, but what do I really, yeah, want to get from it? Yeah, this is one thing. This is one question. Then there is another question. Yeah, what do you want to know about your child? What do you really want to know about your child? What do you truly want to know about your child? That's another question. And think about it. Like, take time to think about it. Don't run. Because the answers and the reason why I'm putting out these questions, the answers may quite surprise you if you take time to think about them, to be with them. The third question is what your child needs you to know on what does it mean to be a parent. Of course, yeah, it may be too small to even think about it, but I'm sure that when you're listening to this reading, it can be more and more obvious to you that this question is needed. What does it mean to you to be a parent? And the answer is changing. It's changing. So just watch it changing as you are changing also in your parenthood, yeah, in your motherhood. So before we dive in, as I said, it is an introductory recording, and I would like to introduce you to the historical educational styles. Why is it important for me to let you know about it? Because all of these styles, all of that information and approach are inside you. At this evolutionary stage, we are including everything that's been there before. Yeah, so let's take a look. The first stage, and of course, it's not something, this information is not something that human design developed. It's actually taken from the book that's called Phychohistory, yeah, the evolution of childhood by Lloyd de Moz. And it's quite an accepted work in the conventional historical circles. So let's take a look at this. And the first one we called infanticide, which is basically killing kids. Yeah, that's what's been happening for the humanity from the beginning of the existence of humankind, and before around 4th century of our age. And that is quite law, jungle law. Yeah, so that is that's been happening when the child was born sick or something wrong with it. Let's throw it out and make another one. I mean, we are making them all the time anyway. So it's a really dark period, of course. And, even today, you can see that frequency in so many parents when they believe that the child is harming them, that the child is limiting them, and so on and so forth. So, second one is called the thrower or the throwing, and it's around from the 4th to 12th centuries. And that is the period when child was born and was given to someone else. Yeah, so basically parents, they were doing their thing. They were not responsible for upbringing the babies. It's been just or older part of the family or just someone else. The ambivalent, yeah, on the third period is between 12th and 17th century. It was already, this third party was more of, let's put it this way, skill oriented. So that's where the goal was, to make someone out of the child. Yeah, so the child is becoming a different entities. They are no more property like before, but they don't decide anything, of course. So it was very strategic, very ajna oriented stage, when the parent was just thinking, what can I do with this child? Yeah, so let's make something out of them. And the idea was that the child is like a wax or like a clay, so it's about um, hitting them, punishing them, just for one reason: they have to be this, that's what's going to be from you. And obviously we see today that there are these families and dynasties where the child was doing whatever the parent is doing, or they were giving them to the third party and doing them. And of course, we also see that today is happening here and there. And then the fourth period is called the imposting, and it's around 17th to 18th centuries. And that's when the first trial of bringing together child and parents started happening. And so, but the reason was still the same: what do I do as a parent in order to have a full power over the mind of my child? So it's already the confrontation of ajna. Here we are teaching the child as well of what parents needs from them, and a lot of strategies and manipulations have started being invented for just a child to have some quick skill, so they can be an extra profit for the family, to bring money for the on the communal table and put it there. Total control of ajna. Yeah, the fifth one is socializing. The socializing is started around from 19th century to the middle of the 20th century. And socializing is already not, child stops becoming a property. It becomes more of mm, let's train your power of will, let's give you these habits, and just let's make you somebody who's adapted to society. Yeah, so socializing. And the most important place in this process is obviously still not the child's uniqueness, but the communal values, because communal values, that's what mattered. And obviously, I mean, most likely both you and me, we were upraised in such approach, in such child development approach. Yeah, what's good for me is like my mother. Yeah, she saw that she worked in as an economist. She was like, Julia, you have to study economy, it's a very good, it's something that is needed, you'll have a good job in the bank, go there. Yes, yes, of course, very important to be a part of the society where you are very much needed. Yeah. Funny, right? But we're still having it. We're still having it imprinted in our DNA. And now we are kind of in the phase that's called the helping or supporting. And that started happening since the middle of the last century. And that's the first time in the history of humanity when we start giving an option to the fact that maybe the child knows better than the parent of what they need, of how to develop themselves. So at this point, we already don't put attempts for the discipline, for what exactly we want them to be. And of course, this approach needs a lot of investment in time, investment in money, yeah, to bring child to different places to check them out, what is good for them, because you don't know, they don't know. It's all a matter of being open to it. And of course, during the reading, we will see together what are their inclinations, what can be better for them, but it is anyway the process. Nobody, including human design system, cannot tell you make your child a musician or let them be a dentist. Is no such thing. And I hope that at this point you already know that and accept that. And what we have here is that we create a security, we create a space for child to be developed properly. So that is the overview. And again, I want to remind you that I needed to take this time and to put it out here, because when you will be in the process, when you will be so angry or frustrated with them not doing this or spilling things or not listening to you, just remember that your reaction comes from the far, far, far past that you and your ancestors, they already forgot about, but the programming didn't. So it is still part of ours. Today, reality is all that we got from before. And obviously, the educational system today, and I'm not talking about the conventional system, but rather our personal approach, is so different from what's been happening before. Yeah, and I want to put it out. I want also to show where we are coming from, because even though I'm saying that it's very different, we are still carrying the traits of seven chakra worlds so strongly. And it's good to kind of be aware of that, notice that, and just remember that it's not there anymore. It's not serving anymore. Yeah. The traditional seven-centered parenting model, you knew that child must respect an authority of the parent. And we see today that, oh my God, so many kids have no respect for the authority of parents. And we don't understand what happened. Why is it so? Even before they get addicted to devices, we already see that. And we know why. Because we are in the stage where we understand that the only difference between the child and the parent is that the child lived less days on this planet. They don't have this experience with life, but it doesn't make a parent an authority over the child. But in seven-centered model, that's our past, that's our reality. Yeah, seven-centered models saw children as immature. Yeah, they need to be told what to do. They have to live under parents' control, nothing else. And there is things that they are good and right, and there are things that are bad and wrong. And we know what's good for you, and we know what's bad for you, because that's how it is. There's no other option, right? Yeah, the children are kind of almost like a property. Mhm. Or they must meet our expectations. But not only that, they have to jump over our expectations and do things that we cannot even imagine, be so much better, yeah, in everything. And of course, they have to implement everything what parents are implementing. And they by themselves, they're not mature beings. What do they know? We are here to teach them. Of course, parental authority was like without question. It's not discussed. Parents said that, that's how it is. I am here to tell you. That's my childhood was like that, 100%. Yeah. Children must learn correctly. That's how it is. Learn how to behave. And there is correct and not correct. And parents were establishing the new systems of how things work, and children behaves exactly as the parent brings them that pattern. Mhm. But yeah, and children, of course, they are full members of the family, but they have a destructive behavior, and they should be like put on the second sword, let's put it this way. And If they don't meet that, if they don't meet expectation, if their behavior is not correct, then what? And the parent is not okay, and the child is not okay, and they have to apologize, stand on their knees, and all of that stuff. Of course, we can add more and more and more, but this is something that we know so well from our past. We know so well from the models that are still there in the out there, showed us in the TV and all of that stuff that kind of proposed as a patterns for behavior. But we are moving on. We are now in the non-center parenting model, and that's a completely new paradigm. Yeah, in the new paradigm, all auras are equal in their influence, regardless of age, regardless of personality. We are different, but we are equal in their influence. That we all have the unique place in the world. And we are here to respect and nurture the emergence of this uniqueness and the emergence of individuality, yeah, according to the stage of development. You cannot treat a 7-year-old like 2-year-old, obviously. It's a different things, and we're going to talk about it today. So the child's freedom is to be correct, is not something what you need to get, is the birthright. Yeah, so it's something that is like that. That is something theirs. It cannot be like, okay, that's what I got and that's it. And it's moving. It's a dynamic state of what is exactly that correctness. It's not something fixed. Yeah. The internal or inner parent authority is an important part of parent-child relationship. And here we are arriving to very important moment is that, you came to this reading, the child development reading, to help your child to grow correctly. But this reading, first of all, is for you. It's not for your child. And the biggest thing that you can give to your child is your own correctness. That's what they learn. They learn not the words and not even the deeds, They learn the frequency. They see the frequency. So for you to hold that frequency, that's what you give to them. You give them your own correctness. Yeah, so the role of nine-center parent, the role of the parent in the new world, first of all, is work on yourself. Yeah, work on your own correctness, on your alignment with your inner truth. And you will see how much manipulation is going to be forced on you with your child. Children they have this mechanical thing in them. They are born to manipulate their parents. They have all the instruments and they're so good at it. Every parent goes through this stage. And for you, staying with your truth, especially in the moments of manipulation, is going to be one of the hardest exams. And you will not be able to escape. That's for sure. And so another rule is, of course, the basics. Ensure the safety of your child. It has a shelter and food and full protection. It feels safe. And then later, of course, education will come. Even though why later? Education is something that happens from the very, very beginning. And today, you've probably been exposed to so many programs. There are already apps for infants and so many technologies that can start teaching the child from the very first months of the born, the shapes, the colors, and so many amazing programs people are inventing today. And the second is, of course, yeah, this education, development of skills and knowledge is something that can only come from the parent or the parent's guidance. And the third thing, of course, learning the strategy and authority, not in the language of human design, but from life, from your guidance. That's what we call the supporting in cultivating the true awareness of the child. The child is born as a completely intelligent being. Yeah, all they lack is just the number of days lived on this earth. Yeah, and how they develop it. And of course, each child has its own needs for sleep, for food, for socialization. It's all different from child to child. And we'll see how it is in your case, on your unique composite with yourself and your child, and how do they resonate with each other. Mhm. The children are here to realize their unique destiny, their unique way, unique path. That is also something that we're going to look at. How you really help them to do that when they don't know and you don't know. Nobody knows anything. It still happens. Yeah. And of course, the signature of a type, yeah, is this fixed element that is always there. And knowing the type of the child is and guiding them into their strategy and authority is the basic of the basic. And so, as a parent, your main thing, okay, your main task would be to help your child to express and explain themselves. And believe me, this is not as obvious as it seems. Because depending on many factors, you yourself may have a hard times, for example, expressing your feelings, or even expressing how exactly you experience the pain in your body, or how you experience the joy and your thoughts. Do you know how to do that correctly? Because your correctness is totally conditioning your child's trajectory, their pattern building in their brain, and so much more. Yeah, so that was an overview of how do we see this nine-centered parenting model. Wow, very, very strong. And I would like to basically tell you that we are very different, not only because just the time changes, but we have a different bodies. Our bodies are Uranian. Yeah. Why is it so? Because since the Uranus was discovered, yeah, I put it here, even this beautiful slide with the exact date, 13 March 1781. It's a long story. It's actually a topic for cosmology, but I'm just bringing it here to show you that when you look back in the history and say, how come people in our age already had their families and already had their profession and they were already ready to die? Obviously, because before the Uranian, we were in Saturnian cycle, and Saturnian cycle is a very short one. I mean, it makes around just in 30 around 30 years around this. So what does it mean? It means that now our lives extended. Yes, so we have our design got more complicated. So we are already totally different creatures. So what is the main difference? Yeah, our average life is now 84, because 84 is the time when Uranus makes the full move, yeah, the full cycle. That is one thing. Then now it depends on our PHS also and habitat, and all of this is what influences our mind and the body. So from what we eat, from our daily activities, really depends how we think, what we think, and how we make decisions. So our bodies, as I said, became more complex structures. Yeah, so nine centers, the movement of energy is already different. And from the ajna oriented, the strategic mind, we are moving now to the rightness, to the uh, perceptive mind. It's a very different approach, yeah, to life itself. And what's interesting, yeah, it's again, this is very, very, very important, is that the temperature of our bodies became higher. And the shape is literally also mutating. Our skin is changing, our eyes are changing, the way we see things. It is anatomical, yeah. And obviously, we may also have diseases that we didn't even know exist before, and the last years are showing us how exactly it's happening. And okay, so back to our topic. How do we see these, and why am I even talking about it here? Because human life now is divided literally into four big stages. Watch this. Childhood is a stage that happens from birth to around 28, 30 years old, and not 18 as we were uh, thinking before. Yeah, we're considered adults now. Yeah, we get passport, and some even can drive and they're 16. But no, this approach is really old one. The child is until they're 28 years old. And we see now, yeah, the birth. I was actually reading a couple of days ago that in America, the average, not America, in California, the average age for a first childbirth now is around 41. Yeah, so how much we are changing now. The teenager, so to say, is from 30 and until around 42 years old. Yeah, so that's when the self-determination happens. And then the adulthood is from 42 to around 50. Yeah, that's when we are actually actualizing and realizing everything we gained and learned and studied in the previous two stages. And only from age 50 until 84, we are maturing and blossoming. And if you are lucky enough to live over 84, then you also get a super bonus. Yeah, so that's how things work. And think about it. It's quite a mind shifting information, isn't it? And so, in the nine centered brain development, um, is the one that also happens in stages. So nine-centered childhood actually has a series like of these 7-year stages, 4 7-year stages, and this 7-year cycles, and it's about the brain development. This information actually is also not coming just from human design, but it is something very conventional today, and it's very accepted in the standard frameworks of education. Yeah, so there are the stages of development, and then each stage has its own characteristics. And the brain is not something fixed, it's changing. And we're going to talk a lot about brain development because I would like you to get in tune with this information and see it as is. Because from how the brain develops, the body develops certain way. Yeah, and it happens around until around age 20 something to 30, and even after, it's also I wrote here plastic, but it's like more of a flexible, it's changing, it's moving, obviously. And it's all about the principle of form, and of course the human design is the science of form, and the fact that the characteristics stay the same, but the form is changing. It's changing constantly. So let's take a look at the stages and what happens from the very, very beginning, from 0 to 7. Yeah, the first stage, it's when the growth of this new neuron starts happening. The all the systems are being born, and brain still doesn't really fix, it's so much in development, and it's in total change. What's interesting is that 80% of the connections, of the neuron connections, happen until age 3. Yeah, and that's why in many cultures it's kind of a um, magic age, because for example in Jewish culture they don't cut hair until age 3, not to girls, not to boys, they all look the same. After age 3 already starts different. And Actually, after H3, also some of the neuron connections that are not used and there are no repetitions of the materials, they kind of die off. Yeah, they kind of disappear slowly. So the studying, the learning happens in those synapses and those places which are active. Their stimuli, their impulses, and they're growing, they're repeating. So repetition is going to be, you already start understanding, yeah, why we need repetition to make these neuron connections, keep them strong. Yeah. And around age 3.5, this shrinking of this neuron material starts, and the synapses connections that are not being used regularly kind of start shrinking and disappearing. So what starts being more strong is the connections that you're already using. Yeah. So repetition of many things as possible. And why is it happening? Because the brain kind of starts donating this energy to the growth of the whole body. That's where the body starts very intense development. Yeah, so the energy has to go there. And that's where we get the correct nourishment. That's when we get the correct environment that are helping the brain develop in its maximum potential. That's where it's important to put lots of intention into the coordination of the movement, on motorics, yeah, on the basic reflexes, on understanding words, yeah, and growing passive vocabulary. Because that's where they start talking, yeah. Before 3 they're knowing words. After 3, that's it. It's a lot of talking and integration of the visual material. So it's going to be this first skills of doing. What do I do? Oh, I know drawing. Oh, I know this. And then they start realizing cause and effect processes. Yeah, so they start asking many questions: why and how and what. And from 3.5, they also start developing their character. Yeah, already you can see the sprouting of personality. Before that, you only going to meet the design. Yeah, when you just meet your child, there's no personality developed. But a lot of parents say, how do you say this? You can clearly see, especially with twins, that there is a such difference from the first days. Of course there is. They're different human beings. One thing, they have different crystal of the design crystal. It's another thing. Even if they're born in like less than 1 minute difference in cesarean, but they have also different imprint in their design. So the behavior that we see in the very early stage, it is still not the personality. It is their design. It is their body is talking. Yeah, and around 3.5, it's going to be more interested in asking questions and why on every little thing. And the character starts developing. They start already kind of going out. Yeah, if before that it's going to be total focus only on the mother, slowly it starts spreading out and they're going to see a little more than that. Yeah, so I want to see the external world slowly, but it's a slow process, obviously. And the beginning of emotion starts showing up. Yeah, before that it is a very basic, almost like motoric function. Yeah, but what's important for you to know is that anyway, before age 5, the whole focus is on the mother. So your child needs you mostly until age 5. After age 5, it's already needs the world. It's going to need the world slowly. It's going to need this circle around it. So it's going to start after age 5, recognizing other people more and more, and going to be more and more in interaction there. and obviously start using strategy and authority. Yeah, so that is the first stage, the stage for 7 years. Yeah, only in the by the end of the stage is going to start looking out into the world, but you are the center of the world at this stage. At this stage, all that happens is the copy paste of what you are, how you are, your behavior, yeah, your emotions, and so on. And the second stage is from 7 to 14. That's where the growth continues, and there is a strong hormonal change that actually has a direct connection to the reaction of the brain to stress. Yeah, so reproductive hormones, they are all working for what? For growing the body, for making it bigger, for making it more complicated. And obviously, it's quite influential also on the sexual and the social behavior. Yeah, that's when the child starts seeing that, recognizing that there is actually another gender. Yeah, I mean, it's not that they don't know that before, but here it becomes real. And this uh, sexual growth, yeah, brings such a cascade of hormones. And I'm not going to go even in the anatomy and how it happens, because all we need to know is that that's where things really change. And by the end of second stage, it's going to be full interested in the new skills. Yeah, the neuron connections are already getting more dense, and they're kind of widening in order to prepare the child for the next stage. And so here we have a strong interaction between the hormone system and the neuron brain connections. And here we start seeing the sprout of actually thinking and articulating the cause and effect processes. So it's not like in the first stage when do this, you're gonna get that. It's gonna be more, now I understand the depth of it, even though the emotional centers are still not completely formed. They're just in the beginning of the formation. And the attention is still at the kind of closest world, is still not so far away. They're looking in the closest reality, and they won't they'll start kind of discovering things out, but it's still, everything is based only on how it is at home. How do my parents do that? So it's a constant watching, yeah, how it is here. Oh, there is different. Yeah, remember when you visited your girlfriend for the first time, and finally and at the moment you realize that it's like, oh, her mother cooks different things, my mother doesn't cook things like this. Or whoa, their father does this when he comes home, my father doesn't do this when he comes home. And that is when the discovery is going to happen. And of course, many new skills are going to show up, and the desire to learn, to open up more and more. And then in the third stage, which is from 14 to 21, it's going to be even more desire and ability to study, to devour new skills and new abilities. And still, yeah, there is no full development, but the growth of hypothalamus, especially in the women, it's something that forms emotions. Yeah, it brings more concentration. It's basically beginning of the memory change, because the short memory becomes a long memory. That's when we only have it here. And the amygdala is growing in the man. Yeah, they start having testosterone. And so all of this forms very different emotional reactions. So once you are in peace with your child when they're around 10, 12, you already kind of, they're grown up, you know each other, you're found a harmony. And then after a couple of years, you see, whoa, everything is changing, and there are different interests. And what happens here, the synapses, yeah, these neural brain connections, they're starting growing even faster. and some of them have kind of no connections and they're growing individually. So here is when we need to connect those connections and how the connection happens. First of all, it's an environment. So it's going to be very important to keep your child in certain environment. This is the stage where environment is crucial. Yeah, 1421. That's where it's all about, I want to explore this or that. And of course, some kids you're not gonna see. They're gonna be super kind of inwardly oriented, and we see this actually more and more with kids. So exposing to more skills, to more opportunities, that is going to be one of your important elements. And you're going to see that there's going to be a lot of impulsivity because of those connections are not really connected, and the whole behavior is like, whoa, hormone oriented. There is a disbalance in these different parts of the brain. So emotionally it's the most unstable stage in life. So the sense of self-identification is really, really important, and it is so changing. And it's changing according to what? According to what, how others see me. So that's where this other and environment is so important. So it's always also going to be a lot of like drive to risk things and to kind of uh, leave me alone. I know how to do it and stuff like that. And that's where the sexual identification happens, and a lot of research, and basically trying to break the rules and break all the borders that are existing. Yeah, so that is the stage. And then the last stage of childhood is from 21 to 28, and that's where the brain starts resembling the brain of the grown-up being more and more. And here you got the already ability to control your impulses and to plan things ahead. Yes, so here you it is something that was not impossible in the previous stage because it was so impulsive. Here it gets more and more in order, and more of the frontal I don't remember how to say it in English. This forehead part of the brain, yeah, which belongs to more of the discussing and planning and having a deep analysis and deep cause and effect connection starts developing. So here is the more kind of a protein goes into synapses if we're talking from the anatomical perspective, but you can see it because the speed of impulses gets much higher, and there are less synapses in the brain developed, and more proteins involved. And basically that's the place where the connections between different parts of the brains get stable and connected. And so all the attention's also going to the external world and looking at these connections between different parts of the world. Yeah, what's inside, what's outside. And here is the big question: what's my role in life? Yeah, and how do I do? What do I do? And the desire to leave home is very strong because that's time for me to finally be who I am. So this is the stages. These are the stages. And of course, what is your role as a mother? Because as a mother, you are a key to your child. You're a key element. You're like the first being that they're always going to be this comparison. So the biggest influence that you have on your child is until age 7, yeah, or even more correct, until 5, yeah, until age 5. That's when they need you 100%. It's not that they don't need you after, but that's where the basis, the foundation is imprinted. Yeah, and of course your work on yourself, that's what is important. Our parents were still totally grown in the seven center paradigm. When I am here living for my child has to be like me and better, and I'll do anything for them in order to let them this and that. But this time is over. The only thing you can give to your child is your own development and the pattern that they are receiving from you. Yeah, so your experience with your inner authority, your embodying your inner authority is the most important part. Your role, yeah, as a mother is to be who you are. And in order to demonstrate it, I can tell you that we have that aspect in life. Yeah, of course, every aspect in life is embodied in the body graph, and we have a 27th gate for it. It's in the sacral center. Yes, 27th gate, a gate of nourishment and caring and nutrition and everything that has to do with that. Another side of sex, yeah, when you have sex, you have 59, and then opposite to 59 is 27. Yeah, so 27, the first line, the basis, the foundation of it, you know how it's called? It's called the line of egoism. Just think about it. You cannot care about anyone if you're not able to care for yourself. That is the base. And that's something that really brings a true quality to your life. Not when you give the last thing to your child, but when you give it to yourself. And then with your satisfaction, you are feeding the child. You're giving it much more than just that something. Yeah, so the thing here is that your relationship in the first 7 years is not even verbal. I'm not saying that you're not talking, of course you're talking, but the child is just like scanning you and your frequency, your correctness. And that's the most important part. Yeah, you are a mirror for them. You mirror for them. Yeah, it's gonna look at your face. Yeah, and look, how is she reacting? Oh, that is how I'm supposed to react because that's how she reacts. So watching this, knowing that you're receiving this white blank page of paper and you can put on it only what you are, not what you think is good or not what others obviously proposing you, but truly your state. Yeah, your state. So that is the biggest role of your is to be yourself. How easy and how not easy that is. Yeah. And of course, this basic functioning, the care, nourishment, education is something that we already discussed before. And I would like to finish this part with reminding you that there is such thing as mutual conditioning. And it's not something that you can escape, and it's not something that you have to kind of afraid or try to avoid or do something about it. It's just what is. From the moment the child appears in your body, you start getting conditioning. Yeah, if it would be different type, then you get conditioning from different type. With the centers, you get conditioning with the centers, with the gate, with the channels, everything that's there. Yeah, and you are getting the conditioning from the aura of your child, just as the vice versa. Sometimes you may forget about it, and you may feel that it is just something is very different happening to you. But it's okay, it's gonna pass. It's not you, and especially in the very beginning of the path, we know that there is this postpartum depression that's very, very common today. And mostly because we still kind of looking for ourselves as we were before the motherhood, but it's not possible. So here, finding yourself in this new aura and being connected to this other aura 24/7 in the very beginning. And then later on, of course, many hours during the day you are together. It's okay. Sometimes things that you think that they are yours have nothing to do with you. And knowing what's yours and what's not, yeah, that's exactly why we are here. We're going to go so deeply in every part of it, see it in detail. And that's my job, yeah, to help you to see and understand how exactly you perceive the aura and its diversity, and how exactly you are being conditioned. Yeah, so that is something that we are going to start our journey with. And I hope that this introduction was insightful for you.